peeps, I'm Jen, your loctician bestie, wife, and mama. Here on my channel, we dive into all things locks, beauty, and lifestyle, filled with tips, laughs, and a whole lot of lock love. So whether you're here for the information or you're here for the vibes, you are definitely in the right place. Okay, so as promised from my last series, I discussed with you guys briefly towards the end that I was going to have a mini series all about locks and mental health. So we're going to kick it off today. It's going to be a 3-part series. And in this first episode of My Locs and My Mental Health, I'm going to get real about where I was mentally before I started my lock journey. In this first video, the next video would be about during the process, and the last video would be about where I am now. So this is going to be more of a somber video. I'm going to try to keep my energy up as much as I can while I share the details with you. And as a special treat, y'all, my hair is a mess. So I have been putting off finishing my retie for about 2 weeks now. So as I'm speaking to you guys, I need to finish this side, this right side, and I need to finish this top. So I will see how far I get. I do have my mirror here, so I will be using this. I have the interlock tool that I will be using today on my head, and I have some scrunchies and water and just things to help me go faster as I'm talking to you guys. All right, so this is really like a lock and chill story time. I was going to say excuse me if I need to cry, but if I need to cry, I need to cry. Things happen, and you know, it's real. I'm keeping it real with you guys all the time. So all right, so let's first, if you see me looking down, I do have notes so I won't get too sidetracked because I didn't want to make this one long video. I wanted to break it up so you guys will be able to actually sit and bear with the content instead of it being like an hour-long video of me just talking. So that's why I'll be looking down. So let's start with my mental health before I started my lock journey. So we're gonna take it back to everybody's least favorite year, 2020, obviously COVID. I had so much going on towards the end of 2019 to 2020. Guys, you know your nephew is here. Midnight is sitting right next to me. So if you hear anything falling, you hear him barking or grunting or whatever, that's your nephew. So just, I don't know what else to say about him. Okay, so actually let's start with 2019. So 2019, the summer of 2019, I got engaged to my now lovely husband. It was a great summer. Everything was going well. We started planning our wedding, and you know, everything seemed to be going as planned. Towards the winter of 2019, I lost someone super, super close to me that I thought, that I looked at as like a second mom. She was wonderful. She was supposed to be one of my bridesmaids, and she fell sick and she passed away like almost immediately. So I kind of went into shock. This was the first person that passed away that I was close to, not just in proximity, but I'm really trying to find the words, guys. She just meant so much to me, and I remember a week before she passed away, I wrote her this card because at that time her father had just passed away. And I wrote her this beautiful card with my condolences and everything, and it also had some information about like her being my bridesmaid and how I'm excited and all those things. So I gave it to her husband, which is like my dad now, at the time, and I don't even know how to explain this part. So he was in a place to try to cheer her up, so he didn't want to give her anything else that would kind of offset her at the time. So I told him, you know, just to hold on to it and to give it to her when she was ready. Sadly, she was never able to get my card. So that took a really big toll on me. I guess I started to be depressed, but I didn't really know what grief or depression really looked like at that time because I was still working. I remember when I got the call that she passed away. I was going to my job at the hospital. I just came off the train. One of my friends called me and told me that she passed, and I just remember screaming. I was down by like 86th Street, just like screaming in the middle of the street. I remember like running over to like a tree and throwing up. Like I physically felt sick. And then I called my dad right away and I asked him, is it true? He told me yes. And then I called my supervisor at the time and just told her, like, I lost someone who's like a mom. I'm not coming to work today. So then I proceeded to take the train back. I remember I sat outside for about 20 minutes and then I proceeded to take the train back uptown. So yeah, that was a really hard time because there was like no warning, there was no nothing. And as you can imagine, starting to plan like one of the happiest days of your life and then having someone pass away, it was very confusing. I was feeling a lot of things, but in my mind at that time, I thought it best to kind of just stuff it. I was like, you know what? I don't know what to do with this information. Obviously, she had a funeral and I cried and it was a whole thing, but I didn't know what I was feeling. I didn't know how to put the words to it that I know now, and I didn't know what to do. So I just went back to work after a couple days and I proceeded life as normal. That Christmas, I actually got into a car accident with my girls. Some little girl was driving her daddy's car and speeding. She T-boned us, and actually we were going to our cake tasting. So happy moment, we're going to the cake tasting, we get T-boned, now we're all in the hospital. We didn't have any serious injuries, but my car was totaled. Like, it was just totaled. The axle broke on the car. Everything was in pieces. So the car was totaled. So now we didn't have a car. That was December. January, now it's 2020. So now we don't have a car from December. We actually didn't have a car for like 6 or 7 months after that, because here we are planning a wedding. It's not really, you know, I don't really have the expenses to figure out how we're going to get a new vehicle now. Plus we live in New York City. So I'm like, we can just jump on the train and stuff if we need it. It's fine for now until we figure it out. So 2020 happens. 2020 starts, you know, everybody's like, oh, 2020 vision is going to be a great year. Everything is going to work out great. And then January comes. So January comes and Kobe passes away. So Kobe Bryant was one of my favorite. I can't even say one of my favorite. He was my favorite basketball player of all times. Like, I only watched basketball because of him. He got me into sports. Kobe and Randy Moss made me want to play sports. I thought these guys were like supernatural. And when I was little, I remember being in 2nd and 3rd grade thinking like, is this possible? Like, how could someone be so good? Like, so anyway, they got me into basketball and football, but Kobe was like my heart. Like, I had the biggest crush on him. I remember being 14. I might have been 14 or 15 years old, and my sister and I were like painting, and I just painted this picture. This is bad, guys. I know you guys probably remember when he had those allegations of those girls saying like he did something in their hotel room or whatever. He was found not guilty, right? But I painted a whole picture of like him saying he's not guilty and the girls. It was just, I don't know if my sister still has it. I would cringe if I saw it now, but like that painting really meant a lot to me, because I'm like, here they are trying to ruin his great career. These little girls, like, where were their moms? Like, I was a little girl too, but I was like gun-ho like he didn't do it. And obviously the case, he didn't do it. So I just loved him. I loved him so much. He was like perfect to me. So that actually hit me harder than I thought it would. Like, I love him, but I just felt like, I don't know. I remember going to my sister's house and crying, and I'm just like, this ruined me. Like, it ruined me. Shortly after that, my my daughter's father, they lost their grandma. His mom passed away. I'm talking about like days after Kobe passed away. So now their grandmother passed away. And here I go being in shock again. So this was a woman who, my daughters have a separate, my husband is their stepfather. Okay, that's the cleanest way to say it. So this was a woman who I looked at as my mom again. She was very spicy. She spoke her mind. Her and I had our differences at times, but I loved this lady to pieces. And our relationship definitely changed once I gave my life over to Christ, because it felt like, I don't know, it felt, I'm trying to choose my words carefully because I don't want to disrespect her memory. I don't know. Let's just say our relationship changed. It changed drastically. We used to talk on the phone all the time. I used to call her all the time. We'll text all the time. I go down to North Carolina and see her all the time. She was amazing, and she passed away. She had cancer. And just remembering how hard it was going to be to tell the girls, because they loved her so much, and how we were getting ready. This was January. Our wedding date was March 14th. So I'm just in shock again. I'm just in shock. I don't know what to do. But I remember at this point telling myself, all of the losses that I've had back to back right now, I need to just stuff them. Because if I try to deal with them at this time, like, my brain is going to implode. So I just decided that I was going to deal with all these things as soon as we said I do. That's really what I told myself. I convinced myself that that was the healthiest way to do it. Didn't seek any advice. Just thought like this was the best decision that I could do for myself right now. Because if I actually sat down and thought about all this stuff, like, where would I be, you know? So that was very hard. It was very difficult. Remember it being a very somber thing, obviously, as you would think it would be. And yeah, it was just hard. It was just really hard. So now, February, the month before we're to get married, I lost my phone. I actually left my phone on top of my friend's car, and we drove away, and my phone ended up on the highway somewhere. I left church with like a few people, and we went back to the highway, combing through the highway to find my phone, because on my phone now, I had pictures for the last gazillion years that were not backed up. I had all of my wedding details in the phone. All the invoices, everybody I spoke to, everyone that was paid, that wasn't paid, everything that we had coming up was in my phone. I had an Android at that time, so there was no cloud, there was no nothing that I had it saved to. So it was just like, I lost everything. Obviously I cried. I was like hysterical for a couple of days because I'm like, excuse me, I have too much on my plate right now. How am I going to remember all these things, the numbers, the catering, the guest list, the everything? Just think about your whole wedding being in your phone, not backed up, and you're getting married in a month. It was just catastrophic. So my friends at the time just helped me try to pull everything together. It all worked out, but again, I lost probably like 10,000 pictures that I will never see again. Yeah, so that really broke my heart too, of like my girls and a whole bunch of stuff. So, all right, so now we fast forward to the end of February, towards the end of February. One of my best friends, his name was Michael. He I spoke to him a couple times a week. But one week in particular, he never returned any of my calls. He didn't return any of my calls. He didn't return any of my text messages, nothing. And that's not like him. Like, we've been friends at this point for like 15 years. So I was confused. Like, he doesn't go ghost like this. Like, where is he? So I called his girlfriend. She didn't answer. So I started calling. He lived in Arizona. I started calling hospitals. I started calling prisons. I started calling all over to find him. Like, and I couldn't find him. He couldn't pop up. So now I'm thinking like, well, where the heck did this dude go? Like, he was upset at me because, let's just say that he wasn't able to make my wedding. Totally on me. Totally on me that he wasn't able to make the wedding. But he was upset because of that. And no, it's not totally on me. That's not true. Anyway, he resurfaced after 2 weeks. I chewed him out. Like, you don't get to just disappear like that. Like, you had me calling hospitals and prisons and stuff. Like, where the heck have you been? He also lost his phone, ironically. He lost his phone. He didn't get a new phone for a while. You know, everybody who was a millennial or older, we actually had numbers memorized. So when he got his new phone, he obviously knew my number by heart. So he was able to call me and save me back in his phone. But I remember being so scared and telling him like, dude, like, you're my brother. I love you, bro. You can't just disappear like that and think like nothing's gonna happen. Like, did you call your mom? Did you call your brothers? Does your dad know you're okay? Like, all these things. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna call them all now. Like, I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody. So I'm like, okay, whatever, he's okay. So now it's March. You know, March is the real start of COVID. The first couple of weeks in March, it was like, oh, this is a really bad flu. And then it turned into like, no, people are dying, right? So 2 weeks before our wedding, the director of the hospital that my husband and I both worked at told us that we were not allowed to go on our honeymoon because of COVID. We were going on a cruise, ironically. And that if we did, in fact, go on that cruise and get stuck, that we will forfeit our jobs. And if we were sick, that we would be in quarantine until the cows come home, right? Because this was before they had the 14-day quarantine thing. There wasn't a rule about it. It was like, if you have COVID, like, don't ever come outside. You know, that's what the feeling was like in New York, especially at that time, especially working in the hospital. So I remember me telling her, like, this is not right. Like, she knew us from like when we started dating. So I was like, you know, it's been almost 3 years, and like, you know us personally. Like, why would you give us this ultimatum? Like, this is my honeymoon. You know, I never take vacation days. Like, I never use my PTO. Like, why would you do this? Like, it was a whole big thing. But I remember now it's like the week before the wedding, and she is calling me and she's telling me like, hey, Jen, I want you to know, again, this is the director of the hospital, not like my manager or supervisor. The director and the VP, actually, both of them, of the hospital system is who is calling me. Midnight, what are you doing? To tell me that we can't go. So they called me again. They had me on a recorded line. They told me everybody that was in the room, and they're like, we just need to know if you're gonna go, yes or no. So at that time, I was the only person in my role. So no one could cover me either. They were already scrambling about what they were going to do when I went on my honeymoon. So to think that I'm going to be quarantined and not able to work from home forever, they didn't want no parts of it. So we ended up having to cancel our honeymoon 3 days before we were to be married. So I am livid. I'm heartbroken. I'm like, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? Like, it's not fair that we're going to get married and go back to work. And now everybody's getting sick. Like, who wants to get married and go back to work to COVID? Like, we're taking days off. We're going to do something. So one of my aunties in church actually told me about the Poconos. So she's like, you guys can go to the Poconos. It's probably a fraction of the price you're going to pay for your cruise. And you know, you guys could still have a good time or whatever. So I'm like, okay, whatever, we'll figure it out. So I ended up booking a room for us at the Poconos, and that was our new plan. No cruise. We're just gonna rent a car and go to the Poconos. So that's what we ended up doing. But the morning of our wedding, we got married March 14th, right? That was a Saturday. March 16th is a Sunday. March 17th, the whole New York tri-state area shut down. So now we leave our wedding. We left, actually, we stayed at the hotel that we had booked on Saturday. Sunday morning we woke up, we drove to the Poconos. As soon as we got there, we were on immediate lockdown. Actually, that's not true. The morning after, the Monday. So Sunday, we were able to walk around, we had dinner places, we did all of that. We woke up Monday morning, we were on lockdown. So we weren't allowed to leave our room. It was room service only. If we were leaving our room for any measure at all, we had to wear a mask, and we couldn't go anywhere that somebody else was. So like we were trying to find random things to do. We couldn't find anything to do because there were like people that were there, but everybody was leaving. And I'm just like, we paid for this whole week. We're gonna stay the whole week. Like, this is crazy. We're gonna be away. So we ended up just ordering room service for days, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we had a blast. Thank God I got like a presidential suite for us. So it had a pool in there, it had a jacuzzi, it had different amenities in there. It wasn't just like the bed in a room, because I don't know what, we would have done. That would have been like cabin fever time. So we had other things that can occupy us while we were there for the time too. But coming up to our week, the Poconos actually shut down, and they told us that everybody, all the guests had to leave because everything is shut down. And soon you're not going to be able to leave New York or New Jersey or the tri-state area. You're going to have to stay in there. So they're telling all the medical professionals, like, basically you better get back to wherever you work or wherever you live, because once you're there, you're no longer able to leave. So we ended up leaving early. We get all the way back to New York, and sure enough, they tell us that all of the medical professionals that worked in this hospital are no longer allowed to leave the tri-state area. It doesn't matter what you had planned. It doesn't matter what you thought you were doing. It doesn't matter. You cannot leave New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. If you left any of these things, you would have to be on a mandatory quarantine, and you can't return to work. And this is before they had the quarantine pay. So you weren't going to be paid. You were going to be home until whenever you could come back. And then that was it. So it was a very, very stressful time. Here we are as newlyweds now, being locked up back in our apartment. It was just wild. They had to do online schooling for the kids, just to think about all this stress that's happening. So this is where it gets like, how long have I been talking already? I've already been talking for 24 minutes, and I haven't even really gotten to the thick of things yet. So I'm going to try to break it down a little bit. So my best friend wasn't able to attend my wedding, and I'm talking about Michael again. The weeks to follow, he started coughing. He was just developing this cough. And I'm telling him, like, yo, this cough sounds crazy. Did you go and see if you have COVID? And he's like, no, I don't have COVID. He was a gym rat. He went to the gym every single day of his life. Super healthy. He said he didn't want to go to the hospital because COVID's in the hospital. I'm like, I get it, but you don't sound good. You sound like you have something really bad. It was like whooping cough. It sounded disgusting. So he's like, no, I'm good. I don't need to go. So I called his girlfriend, and I'm like, this is how close we all were. Well, this was his new girlfriend. So I called her, and I'm just like, hey, like, you need to make him go to the hospital. Like, have you heard him cough? And she's like, yeah, I heard him cough. But he said he didn't want to go. And I'm like, girl, he sounds really bad. Like, how are you in there with him? Like, y'all don't even know if he has COVID. You have to make him go to the hospital. So I wore them down. It took me like a day or two. And then he finally decided, like, he's going to go. So he goes, and he actually has something called valley fever. So valley fever, I'd never heard of it before. It's actually almost like a flu that you get if you live in like dry states. So because they lived in Arizona, and he's not from Arizona, he's from South Carolina, this is something that they get there. So it causes like, breathing issues and things. So he went there, they told him he had valley fever, he went back home. When I tell you, it was almost like 48 hours after he went back home, he got drastically worse. So now he's having problems breathing, he's having problems talking, he's having problems, all these problems now. So I asked him, like, what was the medicine they gave you? Like, did they give you antibiotics? Like, what are you doing? So they gave him like some little antibiotics or whatever, but it's mostly like the flu, but you know it has to just run its course. So he goes back. He's like, I think I'm gonna go back to the hospital because something doesn't feel right. He goes back, and one of his lungs is actually filled with fluid. So this is one of the causes if it gets really, really bad. So because he took so long to go to the hospital initially, he didn't know what damage was happening inside, and he was still working out and everything. He thought he could sweat it out. He was in the hospital for 3-4 days, and while he was in the hospital, he ended up contracting COVID. So now he is, I'm totally supposed to be doing my hair, guys. Now he is battling valley fever and COVID at the same time, and things just go downhill. One of his lungs ended up shutting down because of valley fever. His other lung is trying to work hard because of COVID, so they ended up putting him on a ventilator. You guys know everybody and their mom was on a ventilator at this time. And I think because so many people were on ventilators, I honestly don't believe that the medical staff were all trained of how to use ventilators properly. I'm sure we lost a lot of people due to miseducation because of how quick everything was happening. You just had to do it, you know? So anyway, his symptoms ended up getting really bad, and they ended up putting him in an induced coma because they felt like his body was working too hard and they wanted him to rest, right? So I said I was his sister. I signed like medical information to say that they can give me all the information and I will call and give his mom, because it was hard for them to figure out what was happening so quickly. So the last thing that happened is they ended up airlifting him to another hospital in Arizona because they felt like the hospital he was in couldn't do anything else for him. And you know, when you hear stuff like that, you already know like this is really bad, you know? And again, now everybody's on lockdown. You can't fly in, you can't fly out of anywhere. So he is in this hospital by himself. I signed up for this video thing that I can log in and get videos of him every day so I can still see him. And unfortunately, he was doing really, really great the first 2 days at the other hospital. So I was like, you know, super happy. Guys, I'm about to cry. I was super happy. His mom was happy. We were all like praying and having a good time. Like, he's going to be fine. He's going to recover. We're going to kick his butt after he comes out, because I told him to go to the hospital weeks before this and he didn't listen to me. Like, I was ready to chew him out. And then he took a turn for the worse, and then his organs all started to fail. So it went from he was doing really good to like, you guys have 24 hours and you can't even come visit him, and he is going to pass away alone in this hospital. And sure enough, April 27th, 2020, remember it was 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, Michael passed away. And I went ballistic. I don't remember screaming so much in my life. Like, my heart just shattered for 2 reasons. First, obviously, Michael passing away. But then he passed away on my newly husband's birthday. So, this almost took me out, guys. So remember how I said that I was stuffing everything else until after the wedding because then I'll deal with everything? This was the straw that broke the camel's back, and I fell into a deep, deep depression. I stopped eating. I stopped reading my Bible. I stopped praying. I was just going through the motions. I went to work. I came home. I cooked for everyone else. When everyone else ate, I just cleaned up. I was losing weight drastically. I was like, oh, I'm just going to exercise because maybe that'll help me. And I just decided, like, He's not gone, and I'm not going to grieve. I told myself this was the best thing to do. I refuse to grieve. I'm not grieving. I'm not crying. I'm going to hold it all in because I'm upset. I'm mad at God. Like I couldn't even bring myself to pray. I was so mad at God. I just felt myself like, this is how people become atheists. Because why would he allow this to happen? So, yeah, so here I am now, deeply depressed and hiding behind work, hiding behind Red Bulls. Red Bulls is how I don't know, I think I stayed alive. I'm crying alone in the bathroom, crying in the shower so no one would hear me. I'm cutting my hair. So cutting my hair is a huge stress reliever for me. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's just like, hey, I need a trim, and I just do this around my whole head, I feel like a weight. Like I feel like I'm in control of something. So cutting my hair was a big thing for me. So I can't tell you guys how many times I've cut my hair that year. I cut my hair so many times just so I could feel a relief of something. This is going on so long already. I don't know if I should continue, but I will try. So 2020, I'm depressed. I am refusing to grieve. So I'm kind of stuck in a standstill. I am pretending to everybody outside that I'm happy. I am still myself, super outgoing, laughing, having a good time. You know, there's days where I would be at work and I would just run to the bathroom and I would cry my face out for an hour. I'll come back. I'll tell my boss that was my lunch break, and then I'll just start working again. I try to hide it so well. It's to disguise it in so many ways, and it just wasn't working. At the end of 2020, I told my husband, like, hey, I told myself that my goal as a single mom was to have a house before my girls were in middle school. And we saved enough. I got my credit up enough where it's like, okay, I think we're ready to buy a house. So 2021, we started looking for houses, and we found a house that was perfect. I felt like everything aligned perfectly how we needed it to, as far as our jobs and when we could move and everything. So May of 2021, we ended up moving to Connecticut, where we live now. And the stress of the move, the stress of the job change, the stress of the school change, the stress of everything else that happens when you move, it just took me out. So now the opposite is happening. I am depressed at home in a beautiful new house. I am eating my feelings away. So by the end of 2021, I've gained at least 30 pounds. I was still hiding, still going to church. Hiding in plain sight is what I like to call it. I'm not really being as open as I could because I haven't dealt with my feelings, or I haven't grieved, or I haven't done anything. I haven't done any work. So I'm still faking it till I make it. And that's when I decided to lock my hair, because I said to myself, like, hey, you need to do one thing for yourself right now that you can control. And what can you control? You can control your hair. I promised my girls that I wasn't going to cut my hair anymore. And the only way I could keep that promise is if I did something permanent. So I started to research what type of locks I wanted, and I installed my first set of locks there. It felt good. It felt good emotionally because, you know, I just kind of felt like I took the time, I did the research. Like, I was researching locks for years before this. If you knew me, I've always had a set of faux locks before all this happened, but I never wanted to commit to that permanent hairstyle. But when I knew that I needed to do something, I needed to do something to myself that I can not only have and be in control of, but that I can also watch grow and flourish with me, right? So I decided to lock my hair in a tough season where I didn't see a way out. I wasn't able to get the help that I needed because I wasn't being open enough. And it felt like the beginning of my marriage was in shambles already, because this was supposed to be the newlywed stage, and it just kind of felt like two ships passing in the night, because I was so depressed and I don't think my husband knew what he could do to help me. So his decision was to kind of do nothing, which I mean I forgave him for, because it's just like two lost people. I didn't know what to do, and I couldn't tell him what he could do, and he didn't know what to do, and yeah, we were just both lost. So starting My Locs felt emotionally hopeful. It was scary. I had a lot of uncertainty, and I didn't know what they would look like. Again, I ended up taking them out because I felt like they were too big for what I was going for down the line, and I started over a couple times. But so I'm just going back to my notes because I know I probably delved into a little bit more than I was trying to stay on topic for the video. But I was in survival mode. And if anyone's ever been in survival mode with grief or with health issues, I also developed an allergy to gluten. I think because going from not eating to eating a lot and eating bad things to eating worse things, I think I messed up my whole GI system over those 2 years, and I developed chronic GI issues where I would have to go to the hospital several times a month to figure out why I was in pain so much. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't turn, and I'm still working through those things, but it was just really hard for me at this time. So like I said, I was in survival mode, but starting My Locs it felt like the first intentional thing, the first intentional choice that I made for myself. It felt like hair freedom to me when everything else felt heavy, because I love wigs, I love weaves, I love doing different things to my hair, but it just felt very intentional, and it felt very freeing just to wake up and not be able to do a lot of things to my hair, having the maintenance be low. So I'm gonna end this video off here. So just remember that we are now into 2021, and this is how 2021 ended for me. Again, if you look back at pictures of me and videos of me, I guess I look happy, but I think if you look at my eyes in these pictures, you'll see there was a void. There was a huge void there. And yeah, so guys, I'm sorry to end this video off in a somber note like this. I definitely wanted to begin the conversation of, the real conversation about locks and mental health. Again, this is a 3-part series, so as the series goes along, we will be in a lighter mood, but this is where we have to start at my rock bottom. So thank you so much for watching today. I hope you made it all the way to the end. If you did make it all the way to the end, my new favorite color is yellow, so please leave me a yellow heart in the comments. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And if you also had a hard 2020, 2021, whatever, life, and you can relate with the things that I shared in this video, please be so kind. Oh man, I didn't finish my hair obviously, and I just broke my latch hook thing from fiddling with it. So I need to go downstairs and get another one. But please be so kind to comment, like, and subscribe. It'll really help my page grow. And I am looking to build our Loc Babe community. So guys, I will see you in the next one. Until next time.